Well, TJ, the first time in 30 years the Detroit Lions hosted a playoff game. You were on the field, I was in the stands, and it was an unbelievable scene down at Ford Field. It's the first game I've been to at Ford Field as a fan in a number of years, but this was it's hard to even describe it. And at the end of the game, nobody left.
Yeah.
Everybody was still there. Obviously we want to talk about the win and what it means for the Lions. We want to talk about the fact that Green Bay dismantled Dallas. So we have another home playoff game.
Poetic.
But just your thoughts on the scene that it was.
It was fantastic. And even pregame, I got into the stadium probably about 6 o'clock, 6:30-ish, a couple hours before the kick, and doors opened early. I think they opened at 5:30.
Yeah.
The place was starting to fill up already. I spent some time down on the field pregame watching the warm-ups. Starting probably an hour before the game, it was it was incredible. Jared Goff comes out to warm up, and the entire stadium cheering his name, and when the players exited the field for warm-ups, right? Usually about 30 minutes before half, they'll go warm up as a team. And then when they were coming off the field, it was like, holy hell, this place it's ready to go, man. These people have been starving for this occasion for a long time. I did still feel like, though, and I don't mean this in any negative form, but I still felt like there's a little bit more to give. You know what I mean? Like there was a couple moments, kind of in that second half where the offense started sputtering a little bit, and you could tell it kind of went from rowdy atmosphere to kind of like a nervous energy of, people just kind of backing down a little bit. It was still loud, don't get me wrong, but Ford Field, I think the fans still have a little bit more to give, man. It was awesome, though. It was the best I've ever seen it. The light show, the player introductions. Everybody, were you wearing the little cool wristband with the lights on it? That looked amazing from the field level where I was standing. And just overall, that was a unbelievable playoff atmosphere. The players felt it. I'm sure the Rams felt it. There's always an intimidation factor going on the road in the playoffs, especially in a stadium like that.
Stafford's probably thinking, gosh, it was never like this when I was here.
Well, you never had one of these games when he was here. But you could tell, man, like I was interested in what the reaction was going to be for Matthew Stafford. And look, I think we can all say we're on the same page with everybody can respect and appreciate what Matthew Stafford did here for 12 years. But that being said, it's a playoff game. Like you're the enemy, right? And I thought the crowd handled it accordingly. There were times where they were booing him. That kind of set the tone a little bit. Like, hey, we love you, man, but you're not our guy anymore. Yeah. You're not our guy anymore. And, I thought that was appropriate. I thought it was a hostile environment for those guys coming in. And, man, I can't believe we get to do it again on Sunday. Like, I can't believe we get to do it again. And there seems like that was a very poetic weekend, I think, John. There was a karma weekend, so to say, where, the Lions getting a playoff win.
It was Goff over McVay.
Getting it over Matthew Stafford. Yeah. And even Dallas, right, who probably didn't deserve the 2 seed, after we played out there a couple weeks ago, them losing at home and us getting another home game again next week. Like there was just I was thinking about this yesterday, kind of when I had a chance to kind of sit down and really take it all in for the first time. It was just an awesome, awesome weekend, and you start to feel like, I said this on the post-game show where, hey, man, we got that playoff win. We're going to the divisional round. You feel like anything after this is just the cherry on top. Mm-hmm. And yesterday I'm like, you know what, man? Like they have a legit chance to do something special. I'm like,
Tampa Bay, you've already beat. Now you got them at home.
I finally allowed my mind to start to wander into uncomfortable territory about what could we be doing here in a couple of weeks from now? Right. You know what I mean? Like you start to think about that.
Outcome in a couple of weeks is if you're just going by point spread. All right, the Lions beat Tampa Bay, and San Francisco beats Green Bay. You go to Levi Stadium out in San Francisco, and you play for the NFC Championship and a right to go to the Super Bowl. You're one game away from the ultimate prize.
Yeah.
And what else could happen is Green Bay could go to San Francisco, and if they play like they did against Dallas, it's not out of the realm of possibility to think Green Bay wins, the Lions win. And then obviously you're hosting the NFC Championship game here in Detroit.
Right. I mean, that's where I started to wonder a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm like, could it be possible that a young team with Green Bay with no pressure can go out to San Fran and make some noise over them? You know,
But it's possible.
No, it's not likely, but you know, I don't think them putting up 48 points on Dallas was likely for anybody going into that game on Sunday afternoon. So you never know what could happen. And look, I know we want to stick with this team and what we have to do, but that's where just I kind of allow my mind to wander a little bit and just, man, what if, you know, what if, what could we do in here in a couple weeks from now, man? We could have the opportunity to do something incredibly special, right? So we're not there yet, but man, that's the playoffs, man. You know, like I do, anything can happen.
So watching the Green Bay Dallas game in the stadium in the lead up to the Lions game, everybody was cheering for the Green Bay Packers, which seemed very odd that we're at Ford Field cheering for the Green Bay Packers, but circumstances were what they were. When you were on the field, and I know every once in a while, hey, you high five some guys, you get some buddies on the team, and did they understand what was happening with Green Bay and Dallas, that if they won, they were going to get another win here? Because when you mentioned an hour before the game, you were on the field, team was out there, and it was pretty much done in Dallas.
Yeah.
Did they know that they were going to host another game if they took care of business?
I'm sure they did. I didn't ask anybody that specific question. I meant to ask Coach after the game. We just got too riled up with celebrating. I'm sure they did. And look, players will tell you, you know, in that moment, it's game day. I mean, you're so locked into, you know, what you have to do that day where, you know, you try not to scoreboard watch and think about possibilities because that could create a distraction, right? You're trying to stay locked in on what you have to do, but players would be lying to you if they said they didn't know, you know? And could you use that as a little bit extra motivation? I'm sure there were some guys that did. I'm sure there were guys that said, you know, hey guys, let's take care of this one. And look, man, we'll be right back here next week. You know what I mean? So that gives you extra motivation, but I don't think it was probably a huge part for them because even after the game, you know, these guys were talking and even Aiden Hutchinson said something about, man, we were kind of hoping to go back to Dallas and get a shot, get another shot at those guys. So I don't think they really cared. And you know what? It's such a interesting facet about this team is that I do get the sense that they don't care who they play. You know what I mean? Like I really get the sense where it's as long as we take care of our business, whoever's in the way, we don't give a shit. Like we got to take care of our business. And, you know, as long as we play our style of game, it doesn't matter who's on the other side. You really get that sense about this team, which I think is unique, especially you're talking about a team that was not favored to win a playoff game or you know, talking before the season, the expectations, you know, they weren't favored to, you know, go deep in the playoffs. They weren't favored to have a chance to go to the NFC Championship game at home, right? Like, but from the inside, it seems like they were, you know, and even there was a sense after that game where sometimes you get these big moments. And even I felt the same thing after they won the division in Minnesota a few weeks back, that it was kind of business as usual. You know what I mean? Like, you felt the celebration was appropriate to the moment where, hey, first time in 30 years, oh my gosh, home playoff game. You would think it would be the most tremendous celebration you've ever seen. And for a lot of us, it was. A lot of the fans, it was. But on the inside of that locker room, it was like, hell yeah, great win. We expected to do this. Now we got to keep it going. There's bigger fish out there to fry. You know what I mean? And Penei Sewell's quote was great after the game where he said, hey, man, we're knocking at the door and now it's time to kick that bitch down, right? Like that's the vibe that I get being around this team. And so everything that they do might surprise some of us, but them winning a game, especially like they did on Sunday, it didn't surprise any of them. They were expecting to do it. And I know they're going to turn the page and expect to do it again this weekend.
And you're going to be beating some hot teams. Denver came in hot, and the Lions were able to take care of business. The Rams came in and ended the season hotter than anybody, and the Lions were able to take care of business. Now you're looking at Tampa Bay. They're coming in hot, and I fully expect the Lions to take care of business. But let's talk a little bit more about this matchup that they had with the Rams, because the big story obviously coming in was Matthew Stafford coming back. It was Jared Goff facing his former team, a team that wanted to get rid of him, found a place here in Detroit. Not only did they send us Jared Goff, but they sent us 2 first-round picks. and we have been talking all season long. Do you extend Jared Goff? Is he your guy? Is he the answer? And I don't want to talk about the contract right now, but a lot of what we had talked about was, can he win the big game? Can he win in the playoffs? Now, wild card game, you could say, is that a big game or not? In Detroit, hell yeah, it's the biggest game they've had here in 30 years. Now you're playing against in a divisional round. Hopefully you're playing an NFC championship game. But what did you see from Jared Goff in his ability to quarterback this team, but probably more importantly, lead this team?
Yeah, I thought he was spectacular. I really did. And it started early in that game. Anytime Jared Goff is able to get in a rhythm early, you have the feeling that, okay, he's going to do what he needs to do to win this game. The times where he struggled is where it takes a while, right? First couple series out, 3 and out, or punting, or, man, we just can't get our footing yet. It seems like it's really difficult for him to get confidence into a game where they start like that. I thought what did he start 10 of 10, on his first 10 completions? A couple of those, some tough throws, down the field over the middle to Josh Reynolds in between a couple guys. When I saw that throw in the first drive, it was like, damn, it's going to be one of those days for him. You know what I mean? He is feeling it. He's trusting his protection. He's staying on time. He's getting the ball out of his hands, and he's got a lot of accuracy. So that was right away. I was like, it's going to be a good day for Jared Goff. I thought he handled the moment incredibly well. And I think, look, for the players, all the storylines going into last week, with Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay, Jared Goff handled that very appropriately, but there's always part that you don't tell anybody else. You know what I mean? I guarantee you that game meant the world to Jared Goff. There was not a more motivated guy on that field than Jared Goff, right? And that was kind of his final chance to say, you know what, like, how do you like me now? You're right. He's grown up a lot over the past 3 years. He's matured as a player and as a leader and as a person. But for him to put that on full display against a guy who, let's face it, Sean McVay kicked him out the door, it was awesome to see. It was exciting, to see him play at such a high level and control this offense and make the big time throws that he had to make. I thought he was tremendous. I really did. I know the run game, the stats wise, don't look great. I know the second half they kind of hit a wall a couple times, but in a game like that where Jared Goff can still keep you moving, can still control the ball for the most part, he did exactly what they needed him to do, and he was fun to watch. Even rewatching the game again, yesterday for the first chance on Monday. Extremely impressed, and this is something that we all said, like you mentioned, John. We wanted to see how's Jared Goff going to play in the playoffs, right? Is it going to get you a playoff win? How is he going to look when the pressure is really on? Mm-hmm. And man, I think he exceeded some of my expectations. I think he played a hell of a game.
Defensively, you mentioned there were some times where offense played well. Obviously, you start with 3 scoring drives, you're playing well. There's a lull in the second half. Defensively, kind of the opposite, even though I was very happy that on the opening drive that the Rams had, the defense, even though the Rams were able to move the ball, they held tight and they only allowed a field goal. And when when it becomes a tennis match and it's back and forth, when you can hold serve and you can hold a team to 3 or, hold them scoreless on a drive, could be the difference in a game. But what did you see from the defense? What was some good things that you saw Aaron Gled make adjustments to in the second half?
Well, I think the coverage started to tighten up a little bit there in the second half, and some of the pressure certainly too. I mean, Stafford took a couple big shots there in that second half. I mean, there was one that, Hutchinson got him, Aleem kind of finished him off, and you don't like to speculate, but
he was woozy.
He looked woozy after that hit, and I know he came back. I mean, he's a tough guy, but I thought they started to rattle him a little bit. I thought after that game, there was a lot more short passes and quick screens and him trying to get the ball out of his hands because he did look rattled. And, you can't say enough about the red zone. I mean, that's something that, look, do we like the yards? Do we like, a receiver going for 190 yards or a quarterback throwing for, 360? No, you don't like those stats. They're not pretty to look at. But the bottom line is how many points you let up, right? And Rams got in the red zone 3 times on you. And that's where you said, you know what? Enough is enough, right? We've let you get your yards. I don't care what you do from the 20 to 20. You get inside the 20, it's our time. You're not going to score on us. And that's kind of the attitude that they've had, I think, over the past 4 games, is that we're willing to play some of this bend but don't break, because the trade-off is going to be, hopefully we get a couple interceptions. We're going to stop you in the red zone, and we're going to hit you a bunch of times. We're going to bring some pressure that, we're going to get our chops in. You might get a couple big plays, but we're going to make you pay for it. So I think that's been kind of a new identity of this Aaron Glenn defense over the past month or so, that the players seem to be buying into. And, I think they're playing at a pretty confident level. And, even some of the coverage issues, you look at Puka Nakua's long touchdown. I mean, it was a good call. It was a good route. It's a 3rd and short, I think it was. And you call a double move, and, Cam Sutton just got beat. I mean, he's trying to jump.
Players are going to make plays.
And here's the trade-off with, we ask these defensive backs, to go out there and try to force some interceptions and try to force turnovers. Well, a lot of times you have to make a decision. Am I going to jump the route? Am I going to take a chance? Cam tried to take a chance on that to jump the route, and ended up being a good play call. You get beat over the top. Those things happen. But even on Tutu Atwell's, crossing route that went for a touchdown, really good coverage, sticky coverage. I mean, Kendall Vildor's right there. It just goes right past his fingers. You just look at it and say, you know what? That's a hell of a throw. It's Matthew Stafford over there throwing a dart to his guy where only his guy can get it. There's really not much more you can do in a situation like that. So, defensively, man, look, as long as you keeping teams to, that 20-point mark. I know it was 23 this past game, but nobody scored more than 24 points on them over the past 4 or 5 games now. And with your offense that you have, that should be good enough every single game for you to go out there and win. So, defense, in my opinion, did exactly what they needed to do.
So looking forward, obviously you got Tampa Bay coming to town. That was the first game this season where I thought that was a Jared Goff win, because you went in, Jahmyr Gibbs was out, David Montgomery ended up going out in that game, and your run game evaporated. And it was solely going to be, if you win that game, it's going to be because Jared Goff and Ben Johnson. I'm not trying to discount everybody else, but we have always been asking the question of, can Jared Goff step up when you have to? This is the first time against Tampa where I saw him step up and get a win that you had to have. And I want to, reanalyze that game. But now all of a sudden you have Tampa at home in the playoffs. You've got a healthy offensive line. Frank Ragnow is obviously going to be out there. You've got, Jared Goff is healthy. This is just about as healthy as you've been all season long, which is weird to say. I know that you're still down James Houston. Maybe you have him back, maybe you don't. But offensively, Sam Laporta dinged up a little bit, but it sounded like Dan Campbell said he was obviously good in the game.
Yeah, no worse for wear.
Yeah, the further you get away from that, the initial impact, the initial point of injury, you're just going to continue to get better. But I mean, what do you see in this game? What are your concerns about this game?
I think Baker Mayfield's playing with a lot of confidence right now. And even watching that Monday night game against Philly, he played pretty damn good. And I mean, there were probably, 5 or 6 other plays where his guys are just dropping the ball, right? He looks like he's playing with a lot of confidence right now, and that competitiveness that, he's been known for. And I think really that's wearing off on the rest of their team. They look like a physical, confident, fly around, punch you in the mouth type of team. I think the concerns we talked about a little bit was, can you still find ways to, get home to the passer with 4-man rush? Can you find a way to tighten up in the secondary a little bit? Because that has been, one of the issues over the past couple weeks now, with some of the big plays that they're letting up. And we know Tampa, man, they've got some players that can hurt you. Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. I mean, those are 2 of the best receivers in the NFL. You give those guys a lot of space. I think they can prove that, they're gonna make you pay for that. So I think you have to, number one, dominate the line of scrimmage, both sides, right? Offense, you have to find a way to run the ball. You already mentioned, hey, first time matched up, we ran for 40 yards. Montgomery got hurt. Craig Reynolds ended up taking most of the carries in that game. Gibbs wasn't available. You have to find ways to be a little bit more creative, I think, with your run game. Rams made some adjustments there in the second half that kind of shut you down. I'm sure Tampa's going to watch that film and probably give you some similar looks. And on the defensive side, that's been their staple all season long, is we're going to make you one-dimensional. We're going to stop the run. And Tampa, they don't have a great run game, in my opinion. I mean, majority of the year, they were really bad, right?
They were bad.
They ran a little bit against Philly, but
Philly wanted to be there.
Yeah, and, Phil, Philly looked like they just wanted to go home. That's how they looked the last 6 weeks, to be honest with you. But no, Tampa, I would say you can't underestimate these guys, because I do like the matchup when you look at it on paper, with our strengths matching up with their strengths. Hey, their front seven's pretty damn good. Well, our offensive line's pretty damn good. Yeah. So I think you're going to, but you can't take these guys lightly, though, John. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to come in here with, obviously,
they think they got the same opportunity.
They do. I mean, they're looking at, the Lions and saying, I mean, in their mind, hey, I'm sure they'd rather be here than going out to San Francisco or anything like that, right? So, but you gotta make them pay again, and they're going to come in here kind of with that, revenge attitude. I mean, you did play them early in the season, you beat them 20-6, so they're going to have a little bit of more motivation on that side as well. But I think this is going to be. I think it's going to be a close game. If I had to bet, I would probably say it's going to be a 1-score game. I think most playoff games, especially this time, you get the divisional rounds, you get the best teams left, tend to typically are. But you can't take them lightly. You know what I mean? You have to expect their best shot. And I think that's something that this Lions team is learning. They're learning now that they're not the team that has to go try to surprise other people. They're the team that people are trying to hunt down. They're the team that people are talking about. We got to play our best ball against them, because we obviously know they can make you pay. So you got to expect Tampa's best shot coming in here Sunday.
It sure is nice to be the hunted instead of always being the one. And obviously got to find a way to win. Got to find a way to hopefully get a win against San Francisco or Green Bay in the NFC Championship game. And then, who knows what happens. It's all a 1-game season. You win and you get to keep going. And if you lose, you're done. So you and I both understand that one. I understand more being done. Never had that last game that was a win like you. But hey, make sure as fans you stay here, because we're going to continue to bring you everything throughout the course of the playoffs here, and hopefully multiple times throughout the course of the week. So we'll talk to you next time on Necessary Roughness.